I'm just trying to have a chill day at home and my PS5 controller seems to be all out of whack. The joystick is all messed up. I'll show you. Let me just mute it first. See, I'll just tap on this side and she'll start moving. Just tapping. It's just the left side that seems to be messed up. The right is completely fine. So I thought I'll show you how to open it up and fix it. Let's go. So what do you need? You need some earbuds to clean. Some sort of rubbing alcohol. I have this lens cleaner, so I'm going to use that. Then this is optional, but you can just have something like this. I'll show you why. Just a paper towel or some kind of cloth. And then of course your controller. So if you want to have your PS5 on, you can turn just your controller off, but it's probably for the best if you just turn the whole thing off. In case you do press the PS button in the middle, you should be okay. It's not a big deal. Yeah, just turn it back off. Oh, also you'll need a screwdriver and something that looks like this. So it should have this sort of a flat head. So this is metal. Ideally you want to use plastic, but since I don't have it, I just use the metal one. I've used it before, so it should be okay. But I would recommend plastic still because it leaves some scratches inside. You'll see probably in my controller. So I recommend plastic, but you do you. Okay, let's get to opening. What you want to do first is pop this part off. So what you want to do is create some separation. It comes off relatively easy. You'll just hear a couple of snaps and just lift the whole thing off. Yep. And it should slide right off. Now, all the parts that I removed, I recommend that you clean it as you're taking it out. So you give it a little time to just dry off. Now try using a microfiber cloth. I don't have one that I can find, so when you open your controller up, might as well do a cleaning. So just be as thorough as you can. Even though it's just a stick drift, you just clean the whole thing. Why open it again and again, right? Okay, next you want to remove the L1 and R1 buttons. So just jam your tool right here. Oh, see, I turned my PS5 back on. I'm gonna turn it off. Just be careful, don't press the PS button again. Put the tool right here and it should pop off. It flew up on me. Same for this side. Okay, now that these three things are removed, you should be able to see 4 screws. One right here, another here, then 3, 4. So you're gonna remove these screws now. Okay, now that the screws are off, do you see these two parts, this and this? Just create some separation. Just lift it up and yeah. It's essentially holding the whole plate in place. So the first time you do it, this might not separate so easily. You just put a little bit of effort. You see these places, this is where it'll be latched on. So just put a little bit of effort right here. That's one side. Now let's do the other. Okay, perfect. That's off. Okay, just clean this plate also and then we'll get started on actually cleaning the joysticks. Okay, so it might look a little intimidating. Don't worry about it. It's fairly easy. So just take this battery off. It'll just come off this mount pretty easily. And you see this part, this is where it connects. So if you just pull it off very, very slowly and like just upright, it should come off quite easily. You good? Just keep it aside. Now there's another screw right here. You want to remove that. By the way, while you're doing this, this part might come off for you. If it does, just put it back exactly as it is. You can just go back into the video and see. It should look exactly like this. Okay, it's off. Just lift the mount up. And that is out. Okay, perfect. Now you want to remove 4 ribbon cables. This, this, and this one. And it's fairly easy. You'll see pull tabs on all 4. So just pull on those 4. It's fairly easy. If you see the ribbon cable, just hold on to it, grab it and pull it out. That's 1. Then 2, 3, and this one comes upwards. 4. Perfect. Now what you want to do is lift the board off and you'll see the joysticks coming out now. Just lift the plate off and it comes off like this. Perfect. So I know that this part sometimes comes off for people. What you want to do is just put it back in this slot. It'll have a number on the back. The number should basically be upright facing towards you. Should be good. So my left joystick was giving me problems. So that would be right in this case. Because again, we are looking at it flipped. So this one was giving me problems. What you want to do is hold on to the joystick and just lift it up. And comes off as easily. Again, you want to clean this part as well. For this part, you can use a bud. By the way, you might want to use microfiber buds. This might leave some fibers behind. I don't have microfiber either. If you do see any, you can use a pair of tweezers and just pick stuff out. You'll need tweezers for a later part anyway. Okay, just soak this with some rubbing alcohol. Clean this part thoroughly. Make sure there's no gunk. Okay, now what we're gonna do is pull this part off and this part off, both the green parts. I'll show you how to do it. Again, use a plastic piece ideally, but it needs to be thin. Okay, just jam it in the middle. For me, it comes off fairly easily because I've done it before. And as you can see, there's some damage on this side. That's why you ideally don't want to use a metal tool. Just separate a little bit, but not more than 45 degrees because the soldering on the bottom might break off for you. You don't want that. So just separate it a little bit. Now, do you see the white part inside? This thing, you want to pick that out with a pair of tweezers if you have one, or you can just kind of flip your controller. Okay, this is not enough space. I'm going to make a little more. Okay, that's good. Okay. So this piece is usually what causes the problem. I'll show you. So do you see the metal rings on this part? That usually has the gunk. Now you want to use your buds and again rubbing alcohol to just sort of wipe the gunk off. Yeah, you see the fibers coming off. That's why you want to use a microfiber ideally, but it's okay. Like you can clean it off if it really gets stuck. There's a part of the metal ring that kind of lifts off, if you can see. Yeah. You want to keep that upwards and the flat white part inwards, and just use a pair of tweezers to fix it in place. Once that's done, you can just press this back up and you'll hear a small click and then you know it's in place. Yeah, perfect. And then you can go ahead and clean this one and the other side the same thing. There'll be 2. Once you're done, I'll show you how to close up. Okay, I've cleaned this one too, putting it back in place. The metal part that is lifting off upwards, the white flat part facing inwards. Another click. I don't know if you heard that one, but it happened. And then as you can see, this part is sort of oval. And if you take the thumbstick, it kind of matches up. So just flip it over. And this side or this side is the exact same, but make sure it lines up. Kind of snap it into place and then try pressing it in L3, R3, whichever one is working, and the movement's perfect. We're good. Also, if you're done with the other side, if you need to do that one, then we can start closing up. Okay, we can start closing up now. Again, if this part has come off for you, put it back in place like I told you. Flip it over, kind of line up the joysticks, and before you press the board down, just make sure all the ribbon cables are out. So, okay, one, this one is already out, two, and the last one, three, four, okay. Okay, it'll just snap in place. We're good. Okay, put the ribbon cables back. Again, you can hold on to it. Slide in place. That's one. That's two. This one is tricky. Just hold it in place. And then just slide it in. Three. Then the last one. 4. Now holding the board in place, take the battery tray, again this part at the bottom, fix it in place, perfect. Take your screwdriver, screw it back in. Till this point, if you did accidentally press the PS5 button, obviously the battery is not in, it won't work. But from now on, again, you're gonna have to be careful. Put the battery, the cable towards the right, the QR code and maybe some text facing upwards. Actually, you might want to plug it in first. Just fit it into place. It should go in relatively easy. Okay, it's secure. You won't hear like a distinct snap, but you'll be able to feel it's in place. Okay, now QR code up again. See, I did turn it back on by mistake. Let's turn it off. That part is back on. Now we can take the back plate, put it back on. You want to first fit in at the trigger button points. Makes it quite easy. Kind of fit it into place. And just snap everything back in place. Now before anything else, just put all 4 screws back on. So getting these screws into place can be quite tricky. So what you might want to do is use a pair of tweezers to kind of get it in place. Or if your screwdriver has, magnetic tip, that should be okay. Then just hold it in place. Okay. Okay, now that the screws are in place, take the front cover thing. Use these Batman looking pointy things and just slide them kind of in this slot, joysticks in. Push everything down over here. You might have to lift it up a little bit, get it in place. Okay, perfect fit, obviously. And then the L1, R1 buttons. So you just hold it in place and press in. Same for the other side. Hold it in place and click. Everything should be working fine. Now you can just turn your PS5 back on, open up a game or something or the other, and just make sure the joystick is working fine now. You can also check before you put everything else back on, and just to make sure, so you don't have to take apart a lot of things again if you want to just get it, just clean it up again. If you find the video helpful, please subscribe. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. That's it for this video. See you in the next one. PS out.